I've always believed that my apartment is like my code, clean, efficient, and completely secure. But tonight, that security was breached by the sound of Marcus's laugh. My sister, Chloe, beamed as she sat next to him, her hand resting on his arm like she'd just won the lottery. Marcus was a wealth manager, or so he claimed, draped in a suit that cost more than my first car. Between bites of the risotto I'd spent 3 hours perfecting, he decided to turn his attention to me. "So, Leo," he chuckled, swirling his wine with a performative flourish. "Chloe says you're in cybersecurity? That sounds tedious. Clicking buttons to keep the bad guys away." The table went quiet, my parents leaning in with that familiar, patronizing pity. My father added, "He's always been our cautious one, Marcus. Prefers the safety of a screen to the real world." Marcus leaned in, the smugness radiating off him like heat. "It's adorable, really. While you're protecting spreadsheets, I'm out here leveraging high-frequency trades. You're the background noise, buddy. I'm the melody." I didn't flinch. I just felt that cold, familiar clarity. He thought I was the background noise. He had no idea that in my world, the background noise is where the truth hides. The conversation shifted from my boring career to Marcus's favorite subject, himself. He started pulling up charts on his phone, glowing screens reflecting in his expensive, blue light-filtered glasses. "Look, Leo," he said, his voice dripping with the kind of forced empathy used by people selling a dream they don't own. "You've got a little nest egg saved up, right? You should let me move it into my new Titan X crypto hedge. A 20% return, guaranteed." My sister sighed, a sound of pure adoration. "He's trying to save you from your own safety, Leo. Don't be so rigid." That I looked at the chart. It was a mess of jagged lines and buzzwords: leveraged synergy, decentralized alpha. It was a classic display of the Dunning-Kruger effect. Marcus knew just enough jargon to sound like an expert to my parents, but not enough to realize he was talking to a man who literally hunts for anomalies in data. As he bragged about his exclusive Rolex, I noticed the sweep of the second hand. It was stuttering, a cheap quartz movement inside a counterfeit shell. His entire life was a replica, a poorly coded simulation of success. He wasn't just arrogant, he was fundamentally hollow. I didn't argue. I just took a slow sip of water and felt the audit begin to pulse in the back of my mind. "I think I'll check on the dessert," I said, rising smoothly from the table. Chloe rolled her eyes, whispering to Marcus about my classic avoidance, but I was already in the kitchen, my laptop waiting on the marble counter like a silent weapon. My fingers didn't tremble, they moved with the rhythmic precision of a surgeon. I didn't need a search engine, I needed the ledger. I pulled up his digital footprint, bypassing the polished Instagram photos of rented Ferraris. I ran a cross-reference on Titan X. Nothing. No SEC filings, no registered white papers, just a ghost entity hosted on a server in the Seychelles. Then, I dug into Marcus himself. Using his phone number from the exclusive invite he'd sent, I hit the motherlode. He wasn't a wealth manager, he was Marcus Thorne, a 3-time dropout currently under a cease and desist for a multi-level marketing scheme involving filtered water, but then, the final piece of the puzzle clicked into place. I accessed Chloe's public credit alerts, we'd linked them years ago for safety. In the last 48 hours, 3 new lines of credit had been opened in her name. The investment guru was funding his Titan X lifestyle by draining my sister's future. The audit was complete. The numbers didn't lie, and Marcus was officially in the red. I walked back into the dining room, not with a cake, but with a remote. Marcus was mid-sentence, lecturing my father on risk tolerance. I didn't interrupt. I just pressed a button, and the 65-inch smart TV on the wall flickered to life, overriding the digital art slideshow. The table went silent as a grainy mugshot and a series of legal filings replaced the scenery. "What is this, Leo?" Chloe snapped, her voice high and defensive. I didn't look at her, I looked at Marcus. The smugness was draining from his face, replaced by a gray, sickly pallor. "This is the Titan X white paper," I said, my voice as flat as a dial tone. I scrolled to the next slide, a list of credit applications opened in Chloe's name just yesterday. Or rather, it's the paper trail of a man currently barred from financial consulting in 3 states. The silence was absolute, a sharp, collective intake of breath that chilled the room. Marcus lunged for the remote, but I didn't move. "Don't," I said, my voice cutting through his panic like a blade. "That's identity theft. It's a felony. And you just spent the last hour pitching a fraudulent scheme to a room full of witnesses." My mother's hand flew to her mouth, my father's face turned a deep, angry red. The investment guru was gone. In his place sat a caught thief, trapped in the cold, unyielding light of the truth. The ending wasn't dramatic, it was surgical. Marcus didn't try to fight, he scrambled to gather his things, his high-frequency confidence collapsing into a frantic, pathetic retreat. Chloe didn't cry, not yet. She just stared at the screen, watching the ghost of her credit score vanish into Marcus's offshore void. My father didn't offer a handshake this time, he stood by the door, his silence heavier than any lecture he'd ever given me. "I'm the background noise, remember?" I said softly as Marcus stumbled past me. I didn't feel smug. I just felt the quiet satisfaction of a balanced ledger. After the door clicked shut, the apartment returned to its natural state, secure. My parents stayed late, not to talk about synergy or investment, but to ask for help. For the first time, they weren't talking over me, they were listening. That I sat at my desk that night, the blue light of my monitor the only glow in the room. I'd spent my life being the safe one, the invisible shield. People only notice the firewall when it's breached, and they only value the boring brother when the flashy stranger turns out to be a thief. I closed my laptop. The click was final. The audit was over, the fraud was purged, and for the first time in years, my family was finally seeing the man behind the screen.